And Vic, let me explain something to y'all. The reason why Vic has to wear skull caps and jackets and coats in the crib is because anybody that knows about heat and air, right? HVAC. Heat rises, air drops. So, for instance, in the wintertime, when it's cold and you turn on your heat, all the heat goes up to the ceiling and then starts to fill the air with heat and it comes down to the floor. It is totally the opposite when dealing with condition. Air drops, dense. It so this is it's colder the floor in the summer than it is ways or at the top of a room because heat rises, air drops. So let's process this shit. Vic has to wear skull caps, jackets, thermals, wool socks and shit, and wool drawers, based on the fact that he got that big ass hole in his ceiling. So therefore, all the heat that goes up, it goes into the attic and fill the attic up first. Anybody want to disagree? Does anybody want to disagree?
Wrong!
I can't believe I missed this one. I must have been sleeping when he was talking about it, or else I would have definitely commented. I did hear it on the way home. Now, I know it, and it's a small, insignificant thing to talk about, but hearing it, I thought it would be kind of fun to explain where he made his mistake. The concept that heat rises and air falls is very simplistic. It's kind of like thinking to yourself that the sun revolves around the earth and creates the day-night cycle. In your mind, as you view it, it works. But when you put it under a scientific microscope, it fails. What you're actually seeing in your heat rises and air falls scenario is this right here. Heat is energy. Energy, its preferred method of transportation or travel is radiation, meaning it radiates out in all directions, 360 degrees. Energy will radiate. Like take a campfire. You put your hand to the side, you feel the heat. You put your hand above it, you will feel the heat. You put your hand below the fire in the dirt, there'll be heat. Once the fire is out and you remove it, you can clear away all the ashes and coal, and below the fire, or where the fire was, the ground will be warm. That is because the heat energy radiates out. Its other method of travel is when it touches a solid object, it acts as the object acts as a conductor. It will travel along solid objects. It'll travel out using radiation. It will travel along surfaces using conduction. This is how your turkey gets cooked on Thanksgiving. This is why your stove is hot. And this is why when you open the stove, hot air comes out. The hot air coming out is convection. And actually, they even have ovens that operate on this theory, convection ovens. It forces hot air through the oven to heat whatever's inside. So the idea behind your HVAC unit is that it heats the air and blows that hot air out. That hot air vibrates more rapidly than the cold air. Cold air, which doesn't vibrate as much, which is less energetic, drops to its lowest point. The hot air is less dense, moves more excitedly, and it rises. It will continue to rise, and it will expel that heat energy as it rises, and when that energy is gone, that air comes back down. and joins the other cold air. It'll actually form like a cycle. The hot air will rise up, it'll cool off, and it'll come right back down in the form of cold air. So think of it like in an oxygen tank. Oxygen stored in an oxygen tank is usually kept below room temperature, as it's in a tank that's already under high pressure. The oxygen on the inside is cool, so it's not very energetic. It's pretty content to stay within the tank that it's in, unless like a hole happens to spring open or a valve is opened, and then it's going to go into a low pressure area. Say you take it outside on a hot day and the sun radiates heat to the tank. The outer surface of the tank begins to warm, and through conduction, the entire tank starts to heat up. Inside the tank, the oxygen molecules are going to become excited, starting to heat up more, move around more energetically. As it starts to move around and bang the sides and stuff, it's looking for more space that it can move, kind of like a rubber ball bouncing around the inside. It's banging around all over the place, and it's looking for some place it can possibly go. Eventually, it's going to be under enough pressure that it's going to rupture the tank, and through a combination of pressure and convection, this happens.
Don't leave oxygen tanks in the car for no reason. And if you do in this heat, leave your windows down.
So you see, Tyra, if everything was as simple as heat rises and air falls, the clouds would be on fire, we'd be wearing our hats and jackets all the time, cars wouldn't be warm in the summer, and oxygen tanks wouldn't explode.